it was an abysmal performance from Manchester United. It was a terrible, terrible performance from the Reds and from Manchester United. It was not a performance to remember, by the way. And I'm going to speak about every single player that started that game and then the coaching and everything. I mean, Michael Carrick should look at himself right now and think about the kind of style he wants to play and are the players that are available capable to play that kind of style. I mean, he shouldn't be a pawn in the hands of the Ineos and the Glazers being used to carry out their money laundering scheme or whatsoever because it's looking like they do not care about the footballing aspect of the club. They do not care about the performance on the pitch. All they care about is the income. And it's evident because how can you tell me that by now, which the season has already started and it is few days to the closing of the transfer window, the summer 2026 transfer window, and Manchester United have just signed two players for a combined fee of £85 million in this kind of transfer window, whereby you have Arsenal, who are title winners and are hoping to defend their title, spending £75 million on just another midfielder, whereas they are stacked in midfield and in every position. Arsenal has a squad depth that can go on and win the league again and again. I mean, if you look at Arsenal's bench, that is a bench that can compete favorably for the league title with any first 11 from any other team in the Premier League. I mean, that is the team that wants to compete. That is the team with an ambition. But when you look at Manchester United, you see a very depleted squad, and then the little or the few good players they have are almost worn out because of too much games on them and all of that. A player like Bruno Fernandes, even if it's EFL, even if it's FA Cup, Champions League, Premier League, he always plays. And he's beginning to worn out. I mean, he's not a machine. And the Ineos are sitting and looking at the whole situation. I mean, I complained earlier when we played against AC Milan in the final game of the preseason that it was already showing that Manchester United needed a natural destroyer, a disruptor for a defensive midfielder in the caliber of Carlos Baleba, Manu Kone, and their likes. But this is an area which Manchester United came into this transfer window knowing fully well that Casemiro has left the club and they couldn't replace him immediately. That should be the priority. That should have been the priority signing for Manchester United for this season. Not signing central midfielders and forcing them to play as defensive midfielders. I always say this. Santos and Tillemans are two central midfielders who can as well, maybe for Santos, play as a DM sometimes. But there are games you cannot play Santos as a DM because Santos needs a game whereby Manchester United is dominating position and then Manchester United can easily break into the defense of the opposing team. But when you have a team who is compact in midfield, who is defensively aware of the situation in the game, you find out that players like Santos and Tillemans tend to find it hard. Even though Tillemans is a very brilliant player who can play, for me, I feel Tillemans is a like for Bruno Fernandes. And say whatever you want to say, but I believe Tillemans is somebody who can play when Bruno Fernandes is not playing. At this moment, Tillemans can be a starter in games that we feel very comfortable controlling the game and everything. He is that intelligent. But when you need that intensity in midfield, you need a natural disruptor and a destroyer as a defensive midfielder. Someone who can run along the midfield, the entire pitch, and cover grounds. Someone with legs. I mean, someone who has an active lungs. You need a young, vibrant midfielder who can do the disruption and the destroying in the midfield, winning back those loose balls in the midfield, which was what Manchester United were lacking. And it exposed the central defenders. It exposed the defense of Manchester United. Look at how poorly the defenders performed. I mean, two set piece goals, which is very, very poor. I mean, in the tail end of the game, Maguire was trying to make something happen. He was good with the passes, trying to create chances from deep, driving in, and even shooting shots on target and all of that. But then you could see that those two goals they conceded earlier in the first half came back to haunt them because they could not break the defense of Hull City. Playing five at the back again. Ruben Amorim taught us a lesson in the preseason, which I thought the Ineos will be proactive in the season to see that they correct a certain loophole that has been there right from the departure of Casemiro and the injury to Ugarte. Even though Manuel Ugarte being present or not does not make any difference, but that void left by Casemiro hasn't been filled yet. And Manchester United is not looking like a team that wants to compete for any title, not even the EFL or FA Cup. You cannot play these kind of games because you will see more of those low blocks teams than even the elite clubs that will come out and play on the front foot. If there are five elite teams that play controlling game and play possessional football, then you are still going to have about 14 other teams that play as a low block. So how do you deal with 14 teams playing low block? I mean, you thrive against the big boys because they play on the front foot, they are attacking, they are possessive, and then you wait to hit them on the counter. What about the low blocks that are almost 14 in number? 14 teams. How do you play against them? I mean, Manchester United should have gone into this transfer window with the urgency of a natural defensive midfielder, not even a deep line playmaker. Yes, a deep line playmaker can be added when you have the natural disruptor and the destroyer as a defensive midfielder. That traditional number six that we know. Because you need a player. People draw comparisons from PSG and say who is a natural destroyer in PSG team. The team setup is very, very different. The tactics, the team setup, and everything is different. You can't compare with Manchester United, and you can't compare that with the intensity of the Premier League week in, week out. You cannot go into the season goalkeeping, we don't have an issue. Because if not for Sané Lamens, Manchester United should have conceded at least 5 goals in that match. Or probably, I'm exaggerating, let's say 4 goals. He was outstanding. So we have no problem of goalkeeper. But then the defense are constantly exposing this young guy. He's just 24. The defense constantly expose him, which is very bad. You are coming into a season, I mean in 2026, and you have a left back in Luke Shaw. I mean, Luke Shaw is the oldest player in this squad. Shouldn't be a starter. If he can be a squad player, fine. But in 2026, Luke Shaw being a starter for Manchester United, a club with the magnitude of Manchester United, I mean, it's appalling. What could be more disappointing than this? On the right back is manageable. Yes, Dalot, he is average. Yes, I've said it countless times, he's average. And going into the future, and for any serious team, you can't have Dalot as your right back. Dalot can be a very good squad player because he's always fit and available. That I give to him, fitness-wise. Look at his two central defenders. Yes, you can excuse Eden Heaven as a young kid, but at 19 or 20, I mean, we shouldn't always give excuses for these boys because look at the likes of Pau Kubasi. Yes, I know and not every young player can be Pau Kubasi or Lami Yamal in the making, but then at least let us be seeing the glimpse of improvement. I mean, you have had first team football since last season, and up till now, he was absent in the game. And then the Maguire that was supposed to be the leader in the game, the set pieces arrangement was just so poor. Now look at our midfield of three. Santos, he was decent, yes, but average because he is not again that natural disruptor or destroyer, that traditional number six. He is not. He's more comfortable playing as a central midfield where Kobe Mino thrives, where Yuri Tillemans can thrive as well, but not in all games. Then you have Bruno Fernandes, who was isolated because there was no connection between the defensive midfielder, the central midfield, and then the attacking midfield. He was so isolated. He couldn't create much. Then you have a Patrick Dogu on the left wing. What business does Patrick Dogu have in the Manchester United left wing? If he's that average that he cannot play as a left back where he was initially brought from, was it Lecce also to play, then he has to just be a squad player. You cannot go into the season with Patrick Dogo as your left wing. What happened to Amad Diallo? What happened to Marcus Rashford? They would have done better starting in that game. Yes, you tried to correct the mistake after 46 minutes, but then you were already 2 goals down against a compact team in defense, a team who plays five at the back. What do you do when you have gone back? Brian Mbeumo had a couple of chances. Yes, he tried to score. He was denied by the goalkeeper. Anyways, the goalkeeper of Hull City was very, very outstanding in that game. I give it to him. But then there were no clear-cut chances. There were no clear-cut chances. Yes, there were a lot of chances. We saw a lot of chances, but how many were clear-cut chances? That is what every big team is yearning for. Having those clear-cut chances that at least out of 5, you can finish 3. How many did we get? How many did Hull City get and converted? 2 set-piece goals. A problem that has persisted. Set-piece, defending set-piece has always been Manchester United's problem. When are we going to solve that? You have fringe defenders who cannot be fit. Alessandro Martinez who can't be fit. A Matthias De Ligt who cannot be fit. And in 2026, you have a starting defense of Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Diogo Dalot, or Mazarawi, and Edin Heaven, or even Lenny Yoro, which cannot compete for the league, I believe. I know many people will say it's too early to complain and all of that, but then we saw the glimpse. Last season, as a matter of fact, against teams that play this kind of system, 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, and all of that, that's 5 defenders entirely. We saw Manchester United struggle against those teams. Teams like Crystal Palace, they struggle to grind out results against these teams. Even the Wolves, a relegated Wolves, in the second leg, it was so difficult for Manchester United to break them down. The likes of Bournemouth, Manchester United drew Bournemouth in both legs. One of the legs was a 4-4 draw. I mean, it's a good news that we heard Carlos Baleba, Brighton, and Hove Albion has agreed a deal with Manchester United for Carlos Baleba, £65 million and £5 million in add-ons, which is a total package of £70 million. It's a good news. But then the sad one is he is not coming to start immediately because he's currently injured. He can only come in probably September or even October. Who knows? So why did you leave it this late? Must you be humiliated on the first game of the season before you react? I mean, the Ineos are so disappointing, and I think they are just using Michael Carrick. And Michael Carrick should better wisen up, because if he does not take a leaf from the Amorim saga and everything, how Amorim complained about his signing. They wanted to sign Semenyo in January for £65 million. Since Semenyo's deal did not pull through, instead of them to use that money to sign a defensive midfielder, which was a priority, they didn't. That is to say, they never even intended to sign Semenyo. It was just a game they were playing. So the manager complained, and then it got to them, and then they had to let him go and all of that. So Carrick is just being a yes man to the Ineos and allow them to do whatever they like, and he's just there. And probably because he begged for the job. We know, yes, he did. He exceeded our expectations last season by being third in the league. But then going further, we are not accepting anything less than third. The worst you can do is to finish third again. Anything less than that is a disappointment, irrespective. So you need to hold these owners by the neck so they give you the kind of players you want. Or you resign. We need a left back and a defensive midfielder. Good news, they got Baleba. How soon will he start? How long are we going to suffer before he comes in? I mean, it's a sad one. It's a sad one for Manchester United, losing 2-0 on the first game of the season against a newly promoted side. In my years of supporting Manchester